Hi, Tilty Carlson here. Small Soldiers is a movie that came out in 1998 and was certainly something of a mixed bag upon its release, but it's certainly become a cult classic. We got it on Blu-ray not too terribly long ago, but Paramount has actually finally given this one the 4K treatment in a nice, nifty-looking steelbook, no less. So today we're looking at Small Soldiers in 4K Ultra High Def. I'm going to unbox this release and share my opinions. Cover art there with the Commando Elite facing off against the Gorgonites. There's our text on the top of the slipcover. Spine text. Back of the slipcover. There's the back underneath the backing card with a picture of the Globotech computer chip. In the package we have a digital code. We get a Blu-ray copy of the movie, which I believe is identical to the previously released one. And we get a 4K Ultra High Def disc of the film. Under the disc we have the silhouettes of Major Chip Hazard and Archer, and you can see the Globotech computer chips. Director Joe Dante's wild special effects fueled adventure debuts on 4K Ultra High Def in this limited edition steelbook. The Commando Elite are action figures with an attitude, not to mention military-grade computer chips. When they break out of their boxes, two teenagers enlist the kind-hearted rival Gorgonites to save their town before it's turned upside down. Small Soldiers is a twisted toy story unlike any other. Joe Dante is certainly an underrated director. Of course, he gave us the Gremlins movies back in the day. Back in the 70s, he directed Roger Corman's cult classic Piranha, and he also directed some episodes of the TV series Police Squad, which was the precursor to the Naked Gun movies. Dante has certainly done a lot of interesting work, often dark comedies of sorts, and Small Soldiers seemed like a nice way to add to his repertoire of films. The movie was originally going to be an edgy picture for teenagers, but then studio interference insisted on making the movie a little more family-friendly, so the final result is something of a mixed bag. You have elements of the more lighthearted, family-friendly approach, but also the more twisted approach Joe Dante was originally going for. It makes the final product a little inconsistent, but certainly enjoyable for what it is. The movie revolves around the Globotech Corporation, who puts out a new line of toys, but some of the employees, wanting to impress their boss, use their newfound access cards to get munitions chips to put in these toys to make them truly capable of thought, learning, and unfortunately also full-on warfare given their programming as soldiers. The Commando Elite are of course programmed to destroy the kind-hearted Gorgonites, and when several of the toys get loose and fall into the hands of Alan Abernathy, he ends up becoming an ally of sorts to the Gorgonites, with the Commando Elite wreaking hell on town, trying to fulfill their mission objective. And the movie has a fantastic supporting cast. You get Dick Miller, who's pretty much a staple of Joe Dante films, Kirsten Dunst in a pre-Spider-Man role, Phil Hartman in his final live-action feature film role, this being one of the two posthumous Phil Hartman projects that involved Kirsten Dunst, the other being the English dub of Kiki's Delivery Service, and a wide variety of great voice actors as well. The majority of the Commando Elite are actually voiced by the cast of The Dirty Dozen, whereas the Gorgonites are voiced primarily from the cast members of This Is Spinal Tap. So you get a lot of great talent on deck here, and the movie, even though it involves toys, it's actually pretty dark and twisted at times. Burger King had a Small Soldiers promotion going on back in the day, and they canceled the promotion upon finding out the film wasn't the family-friendly film that they thought it was. That said, though, this one's certainly become a cult classic and a personal favorite of mine. Joe Dante certainly has a way with cinema, and I'm happy to say that Small Soldiers is one that certainly holds up with this fan. Has it stood the test of time? That's really going to depend on the viewer, but I had a lot of fun with it, even nearly 30 years after its release. Small Soldiers came out on Blu-ray a few years ago, and it was a decent-looking Blu-ray disc, nothing to write home about, but I certainly wasn't disappointed with it either. This release of the film with the addition of HDR certainly is a pretty nice step up from its 1080p counterpart, the addition of HDR being the major thing here. There are some darker scenes, including the scene in the Globotech boardroom early in the film, as well as a lot of the scenes set at night. The extra darkness added to the black levels and the vibrancy of the colors, they really help to bring everything out nicely here. It is the kind of movie that gets an unexpected boost from this sort of thing, and of course the added resolution you get from 4K. So I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised by how good Small Soldiers looks. This release is certainly no slouch. Sadly, it is pretty limited in terms of bonus material. We just get the featurette that was on the old Blu-ray disc, as well as some bloopers. So sadly, no new bonus features here. Although, other than the lack of bonus features, it's a very good package. The steelbook looks very nice, the transfer on the disc is very nice, and the movie is as entertaining as ever. despite its obvious flaws that came from the editing in the cutting room during the production of the film. I'm a fan of Small Soldiers, and I always look forward to revisiting this one, so I can recommend this Steelbook if you can get it for the right price. How about you? Are you a fan of Small Soldiers? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content. I'm always posting new videos, and make sure to give this one a like if you found it helpful. I'm Taylor T. Carlson. I'll see you next time.